All right. Good morning, everyone. It is Wednesday, April 9th. We're taking a look at NASDAQ. Yesterday technically closed as an inside day, even with, I believe it was an 8% intraday move that we saw. 7.5% intraday move on NASDAQ yesterday. Still an inside day. Still closed as an inside day. Just means that prior day's action is entirely within the previous day. So all of Tuesday's action for the regular session traded within Monday's range. Yesterday, if you were with us during the stream, one of the things that we talked about was the importance of this area of resistance right through here. Friday's high, the prior day high, that would be Monday's high. Price really failing to get above that point. Really did not even make a blip above Monday's high at all. Not even a little up thrust of Monday's high. We end up seeing all of that volume from yesterday's session, at least at the time when we were speaking, right up in that 18,300 area. Now, once price started to roll over from there, my concern was that we're on the backside of this move with a failure to push above Monday's high and that we may see continued weakness. So we end up getting the move into 18,100. You have a little bit of a bounce right there, but it doesn't show any follow through. Trades into 18K. Now, right here, this is critical because this was the key daily pivot. So if we end up seeing a rejection here at the 18K, you really want to look out below. Sellers have the advantage at that point. And again, that was from that daily time frame chart, this daily pivot right through here that we've been talking about. Right through there. So you get the rejection there. And it just ends up being a trend day lower all the way into 17K. So now this morning, right ahead of the open, we're at 17,200. And what I'm going to be focused on here is how price primarily responds to the 17K and prior day low. That's kind of the main area I'm interested in. But given the proximity to 17,200 off the open here, be looking at the reaction versus that level of interest, seeing if buyers can show a continuation of this move right here up into 400, maybe up into the overnight high, or if we're going to see this kind of fail and revisit 17K. Prior day low is going to be a pretty significant reference point given that yesterday was an inside day. So that's something I'm keeping an eye on this morning. We do have a 10 a.m. data print. We've got some Fed speak later, and we do have FOMC minutes today as well. So a few things to keep an eye on. Looks like my Tradovate just crashed. That's amazing. Gotta love that right ahead of the open. There's your open. Little push off of the 17,200. Getting 100-point moves like it's nothing now. May end up seeing that volume point of control shift into this area, 17,240. We'll see. As of right now, there's just value area high for the extended session. No gap this morning, notably. Pretty much opened right there at prior day close. NQ pressing the highs, coming into that 400 we talked about. Pretty fast move there. Nice opening drive trade. If you caught it, I was rebooting the broker. Nice push coming into 400. So we'll see how that 400 area is going to be treated with the overnight high right through there as well. Got a piece of that, Ray. Nice. Very nice. Yeah, we'll see that volume point of control shift. We trade 240 again. It's like maybe another 30 seconds in that area. So almost traded into that 400. Pulling back a little bit. That overnight resistance all through there. And we'll see how 200 is going to be treated if price gets back into that area. Staying patient here. There's no man's land for me. No trades in no man's land. as a policy. Yeah, it's a good policy. Keeps me out of trouble. That one. Yeah, it's one thing to have the rules, but you got to actually follow them. They won't do you any good if you don't follow them. So, like I said, looking for a reaction into 200. Let's see this reaction into 200 or a push up and through that overnight high. Let's see what the other indices are doing. You've got ES near the session highs, bumping into prior day volume point of control. Got YM pressing the highs. Russell into that prior day. Oh, there's NQ session high. So not quite a true test into the 200. Saw that volume point of control shift right there. 239. Hold as support. Now we're into 400. There's a true test of 400. We've got the overnight high here at 425. Personally, still cash for the regular session. Did have a couple scalps pre-market around 8 a.m. Oh, excuse me, around 7 a.m. on that first test of 17K. But as of right now, cash for the moment. There's your overnight high. Last week's low. So we've got some responsive buyers off the open. Nonstop vertical here. I've not seen an entry unless you grab the pullback into the 245 session volume point of control. Almost into 600. So if we bring the fib into the mix, you've got the 50% just beneath 400. You got the 38% right there near the overnight high. NQ did almost test that 17,600. All right back into 400. Let's see the reaction here. If buyers have any interest. So far, there's just a big upthrust of that overnight high. Down into 350. No bid there at 400. There's that fib buy zone. Preference would be for over 400. We'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. Check out that 5-minute closure. You got the new 15-minute bar starting here. There's the 61% fib. We're right back into that overnight range. So still cash for RTH. I'm just waiting. Waiting. Game plan remains the same. I'm looking at either 400 or 200 with some market structure. Need that market structure. See if a full retest of the 200 is going to be given. There's your 400 again. You can definitely raise them there. Can definitely raise them. All right, trailed out. We'll take that one. We'll take that one. No problem. We'll take it. We'll take it. Dom Rich Ray in there. Nice. Not my favorite. That structure was a little bit wide. Yeah, you really got to drop size in this environment. And if you haven't dropped size yet, you've probably already gotten blown out. So Dave's still holding. Nicely done. Yeah, try and ride for highs. If you're still in it, target is highs there. I would definitely have a trail in personally, but that's just me. Well, this morning's flying. We got data here in 2 minutes. FYI. Data coming up. Coming up. No position for me through data. No position. No gambler. Place your bets, he said. That's a degen right there. All right, there's 10 a.m. 10 a.m. How we doing? New high of day right there. NQ, NASDAQ. Coming into 600 now. Got a market wide rally so far. NASDAQ is up almost 2%. Let's see how the 600 is going to be treated. Haven't done much. Still just with the one trade. Oh man. Gen Z battle starting early. Sellers stepping in versus that 17,600. Little rejection there. All right, back into this intraday structure right here, 450 area. That's your overnight high. And then you have the 400 level of interest just beneath, perfectly aligned with the 50% fibbler. There's your 400. We got that post 10 a.m. rollover. Let's see how 400 is going to be treated. Keep an eye on this 15-minute bar as well. No, I'm locked it all there. You got the short from 600. I would guess. Mr. Dom. Nice trade. Nice intraday reversal setup right there. That was a short, yeah. from 600, Benny. So this will be a good test for buyers here. See what sort of appetite for risk they have. If they're hungry. Bumping into overnight high. You got a little cluster of some levels right through here. Last week's low, which I treat as a reference point, overnight high reference point, and then the level of interest, of course, 400. So a little congestion through there. Let's take a look at our 5-minute context. So the focus this morning, like we said, was 17K, 17,200 area. Buyers have done a good job defending that point. We got a little scalp off. Took it all off already. Wasn't loving the action. We'll take it. Nicole, pass your first eval? Congratulations. That's huge. Well done. That's always a big milestone. Feels good. NQ rolling over. There's your post 10 a.m. trap. Glad I cut that one. All right, Steve, take care, man. 1 for 1. We'll take it. Yeah, Benny agreed. That one was a little sticky. All right, NQ 61% fib. Down beneath the 400 now, so I'll look at 200. So at this point, I need to see a break of that most recent lower high. It's kind of a shift in structure, or move down into 17,200, which I would be cautious with based on that 15-minute chart as well. For now, just staying patient. We've got 2 trades taken on the morning, both near the 400 level of interest. As of right now, there's another inside day so far, anyway. Mm. Hmm. More congestion in this area, highlighted zone. Want to see how it resolves. There's a nice little micro setup right there at 400. Did not get involved personally. Just an observation. Yeah, it was a tough spot. Agreed, dumb. Yeah, a play like that, you just want to scalp it into the structure high, trail real tight, see if you can ride it for more. That's how I go about it anyway. But I didn't take an entry there, so still just 2 for 2. Case in point right there, dumb. Rolling over. Back beneath 400. 61% fib. All right, that's a little more interesting. What's a little more interesting there? Fib buy zone holding up pretty nicely. All things considered. No follow through on that 15-minute? Yeah, it's valid. 5 minutes starting to show just a bit of barcode. If NQ manages to hold that prior day low today, we'll see that near-term backdrop shift into neutral. Treat this like a range, little near-term range. Or a big near-term range, rather. It's over 1,000 points, almost 2,000 points. 2,000 yoints. Nearly 1 hour of range? What are you talking about? For today? Like so far today? Oh, I got you. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely been much tighter. I mean, it's still pretty wide, but it's definitely been much tighter than days prior. That's for sure. More compression in the works. Compression. We're back in a 400. This is not an area I really want to get involved. So just waiting now. Yeah, we got that next 30-minute bar starting up in a little bit more than 1 minute. Currently, let's see, shaped like a potentially a doji here, depending on how this structure shapes up in the next 60 seconds. But at this point, I like to see this resolve. Typically, I don't mind trading it intraday structure like this, but I would want the level of interest near the lower portion of this structure, like down through here. So if my level of interest was 360, I'd like it a little more. Then you have something stronger that you're setting risk against. That's just my preference when dealing with intraday action like this. So previous 30-minute candle closes literally as a perfect doji. Quite literally, perfect doji. Let's see if NQ can break this 17,500 area. Yeah, look for that expansion. Mr. Chrissy, expansion time. All right, there we go. Buyer's doing a decent job here. Fib buy zone held all morning so far. Again, did not have big conviction there with the 400 directly over. Pretty good though. Pretty good. NQ coming into session high. Trails at 492, Rich. Nice. You entered around 400, I take it? Had that 400 entry, I would guess. Chrissy was in there. Nice, man. You got the pullback above 400. Solid. 15-second chart higher to low. Nice. Nice, nice. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, we may see that volume point of control shift into this structure. On that push, NQ did not make a new high of day. Got knocked down there at the value area high for the session. May finally get a slower. May finally get that slower session. I mean, this range is still, compared to like a normal volatility environment, this range is still massive, almost 300 points, right? But based on past 2 days, yeah, pre FOMC minutes, definitely not a bad time to call it. So you can definitely keep this intraday structure on watch. Treat the edge point, something like this. There's your range. For the time being, anyway. I think we'll go ahead and call it there, though. 2 for 2 on the morning. 17,400 stays on watch. This intraday structure stays on watch. Hope you guys had a good one. We'll keep it going in the think tank here. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. Traders Think Tank all day long. Have a good rest of your morning, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care.